Alrighty, so finally going to get down to my S.A.D.S. I've been putting this off basically ever since I got the van. So it's done well for the last 5 years, just hanging in there, but noticed that lately I'm getting a lot of noise under here, so decided to finally get around to doing these S.A.D.S. And so there's a bolt already missing from there, and that's got a lot of play in it. You can see that play there. And see how much she's turning. Now the back one, when you look at how much play is there, I reckon I could take this back one off without doing much on the front. And when I look at the front one's in still pretty good condition, except for I've noticed its cracks starting to begin in it. So I'm going to do the front as well at the same time, and it may reveal that it's in worse condition than what I can see while it's still installed, though we'll have a look at that later. So I'm going to wing it because the workshop manual says to undo all the belts at the front and undo the pulley and remove all that from the front there, and to get it all out. And I think I can do it from here. So this is the front one. Let's get the angle on this camera so I can see as well. And you can see in this side, in that section there, there's not much play. It's obviously, you can see it turning because the front of the pulley is turning as well. Just we've got this mount here that needs to be removed. So it is, I'm going to remove the whole thing. I'll remove this bolt here and the two up the top there on both sides, and get that bracket out of the way. And actually I might do the two bottom ones here and not the bottom one there, because I may forget to put the bracket on first when I put the shafts back on. And I'm going to wing it from here. I'm just going to start getting into it, and I'll first work on the front one, getting it all undone, and see how I go there. And if that's successful without having to take anything from the front there, or whatever, you know, I'll show you the next step. I'll first get all that mount there off, so I'm going to work on getting these, like I said, the front mount there off, with all those bolts, get that out of there, and then I'll get to the, well, I call them S.A.D.S, but the whole thing is the separating shaft, so that's a debatable name too. S.A.D.S standing for supplementary drive shaft, supplementary auxiliary drive shaft, or separating auxiliary drive shaft. I've seen both names used in different varies of workshop manuals, so that's debatable. What do you want to call it? But I'll just call the rotors bushes for now. Just S.A.D.S. I'll just call the whole thing S.A.D.S. So I'm not trying to confuse names. So I'll first work on this front one to see if I can get it undone and ready to take out, and if I can, then I'll work on this back one. And I think, judging by how much play is there right now, there should be enough space to get this shaft out, and we'll go from there. I'm just going to wing it, like I said, and I'll let you know what problems I run into and how I proceed. Okay, so this is the one from the back, and you know, she's still hanging in there. Yeah, she's cracked in some spots, but there's probably, apart from this one here that's completely buggered up, and that's probably the one that the bolts come out of. they're still partly intact. So it's not too bad for lawn S.A.D.S to last an extra 5 years and still be in that type of condition. I was told by a few people that they go through these type of S.A.D.S every 2 to 3 years, so they change them with BMW ones, which I will do on the next change. But that's pretty good going. It's not like I do nothing all year. I drive around quite a bit, and so I haven't done it from the harmonic balancer there. What that allows me to do is I can now turn it so I can get access to the front bolts, and when I undid it, I can drop it down and get the S.A.D.S off the back there quite easily, and it's just going to rest on there, and that's quite fine. And the manual says to not let it do that for too long, so in short spurts you can, but not for too long. At the moment it's still got a busted one on the front, so it doesn't matter, but when I put the new ones in, I'll make sure that I have it, be pretty quick about it, so it's not putting too much strain on the rubber. So that's that there, and you can see the front ones there. Can you maybe see? I can turn that around now so I can get access to the front bolts a little bit easier. And if I can show you this here, I'm going to drop this one through the front. Can you see that? Yeah, I'm going to drop that one down through the front here, because there should be enough room to bring that through there and get that front shaft, that front S.A.D.S out, and get that shaft down. Okay, I just want to show you where I'm at. Now, I've unbolted the 6 at the back, 6 bolts on the back of the bearing there, and I found that I've got a problem with the. I need to drill out that there. So the bolt that's still inside there, and the S.A.D.S bearing there is it's kind of stuck on there with these guys here on the other side. They're like seized in there, and I can't get in there with a screwdriver to wedge it out. The rubber just keeps on flexing and won't allow the pressure to get on there, so I'm going to take that right out. Now to do that, and the manual says don't do this unless it's really necessary, and if you do it, to mark everything, there's this bracket here, this bracket, there's 3 bolts, one there, one here, one up the front, and that whole bracket will come out, and that will allow me to lift the S.A.D.S bearing past that point, and I can get this whole shaft out and deal with it on the outside. Well, that's the plan anyway, so I'm going to do that, but at the moment it's starting to rain, so game has been caught on account of rain. Okay, so this is the mount here. It goes down like that. I've undone the bolt down in there. Hopefully you can see that. And that goes to this mount here. That one. And under the one bolt on the top, I was able to push this bracket up like so. And this, like that, push it up, leaving that other bolt still on. And this one here I've just loosened here so I can spin this part of the mount around, and that's allowed me to get this S.A.D.S bearing past this point here. And from the back, I had to bring the shaft over this way, and that could get her out. So now that I've got it out, I can do this end here first. So I'm going to put it back in the same way I'm taking it out. I'm going to do this end here first, bolt it all together, and then I'll bolt the front part up and put it all back together, and then work on the back. But I won't make that call yet. I'll get all this cleaned up, I'll get it back together, I'll get this bearing here on, but I think I'll probably do the back first, because the back needs to be lined up for whatever particular reason, I don't know, but the manual says that there's marks there that needs to be lined up. But you know, it's exactly the same all the way around. There's no bolt pattern to it, you know what I mean. And yeah, I'll go from there. I'll just get that done and we'll just progress forward. Okay, so this is the old rear one. Now this is one where the bolt was still in, but the top cover was flexing because the bolt was loose, and it's worked its way loose there. There's a lot of wear and tear on the spaces in the centre there. But what I didn't look at, what I didn't pay attention to, is which way did it come off. And you've got these marks here. Now I can't find on here anywhere where it says to line it up, like it says to line it up with these here. Now we got these 3 marks here from the old one, same as the new one. See how to line it up. Now you got the positioning of these spaces are positioned differently. So there's only one right way to go with that as well. So you'd have to put it on like so. Hang on. You'd have to put it on like so, and the longer end on this side goes towards the engine. Okay, well here goes nothing. I'm going to try and drill a hole into this now and screw that out. And not a lot of room under here, so there's a 3mm bit that I'm using. And I can give it a bit of a heat on this. Got the water right next to me, just in case. We don't want any fires. I know that there's a bit of rubber on the harmonic balancer. And we're not going to heat this. By the time I've got this, what I'm saying, it'll take ages to heat this up to a point where I'm going to start damaging the rubber. I'm not going to be heating up that far. This is more just to help persuade that bolt will come out. Bit of flex in the metal. Okay, something's better than nothing, eh? Well, I've decided to drill the hole a bit bigger to a 3/8, and been working at it, and looks like I've got it. She's a little bit stubborn still, but she's turning. Just using a shifter. So I don't have the right tool, but that's alright, as long as it comes out. I think it's been threaded in there actually, whoever did this before me. By the looks of how that's coming out. I'd say whoever did it before me probably snapped it on when they put it in, and decided to not worry about it. I'll put a bolt in and out a couple of times to get a bit of a fresh thread on that, but yeah, definitely looks threaded in. Fair income. Oh, you bitch! That's what you don't want to happen. Fair income. Well, looks like I'm going to have to weld a bolt onto that thread, so disconnect the battery. Disconnect the ECU just for good measure. Nowhere I go, Super Cheaper Anywhere has the tool that I need to extract this. I know the way to use a shifter. People are probably looking at it and thinking, you're using it backwards, man. I know. Happy that it's coming out though. I can turn it by hand pretty much, so that's a good sign. It'll be just about out.
This thingy.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, it's glow glue. You can put it on there, but it takes ages to dry.
It's alright if it takes ages.
Beauty. And she's out. Bloody brilliant. Another little setback. Trying to put the bolts back in, and that one that was threaded in the first place, I couldn't just put bolts back in and out to try and correct that thread. Instead, it was damaging the bolts. So using a tap and die set to clean everything up. So you've got, this is a thread that I've already cleaned up. I'm going to do the same to all the nuts, because like you can see on this one here, it goes on pretty easy, but when it gets to a certain point, like almost coming through the other end, it gets a bit stuck, and that's how it was on the bolt. So the Orr M8s 125s, I bought some high tensile bolts as well. These are what I'll use onto the harmonic balancer, but I'm going to clean up all of them anyway, so when I put them on, they're all just the nice clean threads, nice clean bolts, everything should get back together quite well. I just got the tap and die set here, just rethreading or cleaning up the threads in the harmonic balancer here, because every time I tried to put a bolt in, didn't matter which one, the bolt would start to thread. I should be able to do that. I should be able to put the new bolts in and twist them in by hand most of the way, and I couldn't even do that. Could only get a bite, and if I tried to turn the spanner on them, then what would happen is it'll go in, but it'll just start rounding off the top of the bolt. So clean up all these threads here, and so that's as far as I can turn that one in for now, just at the beginning. That's as far as it goes in to start off with. Well, it's a bit of a pain in the bum right now because my back's all getting wet. I've got no choice though. Here, look at this lovely weather. What are you going to do, eh? Can't wait forever. with this front section here, that's to the pulleys. I don't know why they didn't put a thread in each one of these instead of having to put a bolt through. Would have felt much better about cleaning up a thread there as well and just bolting straight into it. Okay, so just another little detail here. Now this is the new bolt here that I'm putting in. This is the original. Now I know that when it's on the van, these button right up against the van, against the harmonic balancer, the inner part of the bearing there. So you get that much thread in with the bolt that was originally in there, but then that's as far as you would get. I don't think these are an original bolt for this job, because you'd want the thread to go all the way like the bolts that I'm putting in are. And you can see what's happened to this bolt. See how it's worn down when it was loose, and there's not much of a grip on there too. I found them a bit of a pain to get onto with a 10mm socket, because of there's not a lot there. Now the new ones are a 1/2 inch. I could get away with a 13mm spanner if I needed to, but I have 1/2 inch sockets, so that's not a problem there. I had all my Imperial set before I had my metric set, so that won't be a problem there. I can see that goes in well, and the fact that I got thread all the way now, I know that I'm going to be able to tighten this up all the way, and might stand to reason why these old bolts were threaded in. They probably went in to start off with okay, and he just kept on tightening up, and to the point where he couldn't tighten up anymore, which means that they were never, the old ones were never installed correctly in the first place. So that's what I'm working with there. That will go in fine. I've probably said it already, but copper washers, be using copper washers under the van as well, and if I remember to, I'll probably mention them underneath the van again as well. Just wanted to, yeah, I didn't have to show you this bit. I just thought that I'll include everything in the footage, and it's probably going to drag on a lot, so I apologise for that, but if you want to try and get every detail, you do what you do, eh? Okay, so you can see I'm putting the S.A.D.S back in. They're all assembled, and I can bring the S.A.D.S into that area there, nice and clear, and that allows me to feed it up into the front there, and then I can get this lined up at the front, and I'll put a couple of bolts in the back just to hold it up straight while I tighten the front up, and I'll loosen the bolts off the back to turn it around a little bit to get easier access to the other bolts, which I'll show you in a second. I was going to put a couple of bolts in here to hold this up, because I thought I would have to do, but it can't fall down and just sit and loose it there. It's a little bit tight, so you do have to push against the front housing here, like this section here, if I can just show you that. Push the front forward, because it's all loose, you can do that. Push the front forward to give yourself the gap you need to get this shaft back in, and it's a bit hard to see the camera on this angle too, but that's holding in place there. It's not going to fall down on me, so I can work on the bolts in the front, and should be able to push the front a little bit forward to turn it around a bit more. If not, I'll get the bolts in that I can do, and just a quick crank of the engine just to turn it around a couple of times, just so I can get access to the other bolts easier for what I can't get access to, is what I'll do in the end if I have to. But the back is easy enough. It's the front ones that are a bit tricky to get to. Just another thing I wanted to show you is here. I've almost finished the front, just got one more bolt to go, but I can turn the engine by hand. With one hand is a bit trickier, but and with two hands it's still difficult, but see if I can just hold this with my mouth for a second. You can get my point there. I don't need to get in the van and crank it over. I can turn the engine into the position I want. I've got 2 bolts in here which went in by hand like I was wanting them to. So that's excellent there. Got 2 bolts in there, so I needed to hold the shaft. The shaft needed to be held more stable so I could bolt up the front. So that's why I put the 2 bolts in there for now. But knowing that, this part's going to be a breeze. It's just the front ones there. I need to tighten up one more, like I said, and smooth sailing, almost home. Okay, so the front's done, and you can see now what I mean by I could screw all these in by hand right up to the point where I need to tighten them. So it's still loose. I don't know if I mentioned this on the front, but I'm going to mention it right now. Each one of these, kind of like a car tyre, you want this to go on evenly, so I'm going to tighten this up like that, so I felt a little bit of tension. I'll turn it to the next one and do the same, and just work on the tension to start off with. Once they're at a point where it's a bit tricky to do by hand, then I'll start holding onto the shaft and just giving that last little bit of a tighten up. I don't know how many pounds per square inch you're supposed to tighten them at, but I do it as tight's tight, you know. I've been doing this long enough, I have a feel for it. And then after that, it's just a matter of putting all these mounts back in place, like so. I don't know if you can see that. Put this bracket back in place, put the other mounting on the back on, and we're done. Just one other thing I'd like to mention quickly. These little rubbers in the center here, bring the camera closer, see how they're not twisted. Now you got to make sure that they're not twisted. It says so in the manual that they can be twisted, so I haven't had that problem, but I've been checking every single one as I'm doing them up to make sure that it's not twisted, so if it was, back it off and bolting it down again. Beautiful. All that rattling and screaming noise is gone. Beautiful. Oh, thanks for watching, guys. I know I dragged this out a little bit, but the job is much easier than what I showed in the video. I just had a few dramas in between. But with the right tools and you got an engine hoist, this whole job will only take you half an hour. Alright, till next time. Cheers.